Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. One of the hardest things for me to witness in Southampton and around this country at the moment is that despite living in a country where the richness of our cultural and political heritage is so great, we're living as though there's more that divides us than unites us, even across this chamber. I consider myself to be particularly fortunate to have parents who taught me from a young age that listening is more important than speaking, and that kindness is a greater sign of strength than cynicism. Now, however much I fall short of doing this myself, and believe me, I do, I have tried my hardest these past 3 years to understand why people voted the way they did in 2016. Now, as someone who myself is instinctively sceptical of the trajectory and the political processes of the EU, I do still have the greatest respect for many of my friends, my family, members in this chamber who voted to remain. Well, I believe the public consensus is that we need to get on and deliver Brexit. I don't attempt to belittle the legitimate concerns about the risks that Brexit could entail. But to those here who are mindful to vote against this motion today, the reasons why 17.4 million people in the UK voted to leave, including a majority of those in this city, are also entirely legitimate. Mr. Mayor, over the past few decades, this country has been subject to an agenda from Europe which just doesn't sit comfortably with some of our most deeply held instincts of trade, of liberty, and of democracy. Just to take that last one, democracy, that we as elected members will know better than most, the bedrock of long-term stability. Because it constrains the tendency of those who govern to deviate too far from popular opinion. And it enables us to recognise the legitimacy of governments, even if we don't agree with their political agenda. But as we know, the political agenda of the EU is governed by the European Commission, who do not sit as directly elected by the people. And that should concern us very deeply indeed. Mr. Mayor, the referendum result is a test of whether our politicians really do consider themselves to sit underneath the authority of the electorate, or whether they have the arrogance to usurp that authority, even after promising time and time again that we would have the final say. I would respectfully suggest that unless we leave the European Union without further delay, it will be impossible to restore trust in politics, including local politics, and bring this country back together. And that is why, Mr. Mayor, Brexit is an issue for this council as well as for Parliament. We all want Southampton to be a city in which our constituents can trust us to deliver on our promises. And if that trust is lost, we will all be worse off for it. If instead we embark on a journey out of the EU and beyond in obedience to that decision from the people, we may well realise that our greatest song is yet unsung. Mr. Mayor, I will proudly be supporting this motion today.
Well done.